Hey everybody, what's up? It is June 17th on the Morning Devo with Beau. Oh, Beau, well, that's my name. Love to do these devotions daily, just walking through the Bible. And if you've never gone through the Bible, man, I hope you can do it with me. It'd be super fun to get through it. I am kind of getting close to the end of the book of Genesis. So if you've never gone through the book of Genesis, man, if you would have just been with me the whole time, you would almost been done already. So sometimes you look at a book in the Bible like Genesis, and I know for me, who wasn't raised around the Bible is kind of an intimidating book. I mean, you look at it and you go, man, there's no way I'm going to get through it. But if you just take it one day at a time, that's what we do, just go one day at a time. You know, the old AA slogan, one day at a time. It's amazing how you'll get through the Bible and you'll kind of be blown away about kind of what it's talking about. It's amazing, the themes of the Bible, the big themes. Of course, God is the main theme of the Bible. And then the other main theme of the Bible is really a child that's going to be born. And this is from page 3 of the Bible and on. That a child will be born, and then from there on, we really are looking for that child, and we see a narrative of particular families of the Bible and a family line that we really hone in on. And so we saw that there was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had a lot of children, and now we hone in on one of the children of Jacob from his wife, Rachel. And it takes a little bit to just remember all the different people that are in there. But we see that there was a child that was born named Joseph, and there was a child named Benjamin that was born from her as well. Both of them had a very kind of a unique, I would say, definitely an excitement with both of their births, but also a sorrow with Benjamin's birth specifically. So Joseph and Benjamin are brothers. And so now we get into chapter 37 of Genesis, and we're going to read about one of Rachel's kids named Joseph. And of course, this is a very famous passage. You guys probably know it. So it says, "So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan." Again, just always going back to that land of Canaan. This is the land that was promised to this group of people by the true and living God. And so when we have conversations even today about whose land is the land of Canaan, well, the Bible has something to say about that. And if we go off the Bible, then the answer is going to be bing, 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 bing. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in that line. But if you don't go off the Bible, if you go just on whatever else authority that you're going to kind of go off of, then your answer might be different. You might say, well, it's not really Israel's land. It is this other the groups, maybe one of the tribes maybe it's Ishmael's, maybe it's this, or Esau's, or, the Edomites, or that kind of thing as well. And that is going on today. It's really a conflict, by the way, that just has to do with the Creator, meaning it's a God issue, because it comes down to what God said. And if you don't want to go that way, then you're going to use another authority on whose land is it in the Middle East. And so anyway, you can see how relevant the Bible is in our day. Same arguments going on today that were back then, same issues, same wars in a sense, over the land, same hatred too. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. This is the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. So this guy's a teenager, 17. Think of what you did at 17 years of age. What was your life like at 17? Can you recall some of that? Can you kind of, remember what life was like at 17? And maybe it was carefree for you. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was really challenging. Maybe it was a challenging time for you. But here, 17-year-old Joseph. So when it says he worked for his half-brothers, the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. But Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things his brothers were doing. Now, can I just stop here and just say something? Is that here you have a Generation X family. I'm Generation X. But here you have a typical Gen X kind of thing going on. You have a brother, Joseph, a guy, 17 years old, and he's got a bunch of half-brothers hanging around, meaning, your parents, you got too many moms, you got too many dads, you got, this kind of idea. Now, Joseph, of course, had one father, but his father had a lot of wives, and it created a lot of half-brothers, and I'm sure half-sisters as well, in his life. You could see how difficult this is. And we'll see how difficult it is in this story, in this narrative. But it's difficult, I'm sure, for you and for me as well. You have half brothers, you have half sisters, you have sometimes half moms, and you have sometimes half dads. And it's an interesting kind of situation, isn't it? You think of, what would be the ideal in life? One man, one woman for life. How simple. How, how Renaissance, how, beautifully idealistic it seems in our day and age, and maybe back then as well, it sounds like. Just a nice existence with your brother, with your sister, your mom, your dad. There you go. Joseph's is not like that, and yours might not have been like that either. And you can see that there's going to be challenges that go on in Joseph's life due to half brothers. And I don't think people, when we have relationships, like intimate relationships on the planet, I don't think people are thinking about the ramifications it's going to have 40 years, 50 years out. How is my relationships today going to affect my children or my grandchildren? What is the effect of my marital lives, on people? I think a lot of times we are a lot more like Esau than we would like to think, that we want short-term gain. It's going to cause long-term pain, maybe not for you, but for everybody else. But sometimes it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. It's about you and what you want. Sometimes we get lonely, and that loneliness shakes us so much that we are no longer thinking long term. We're not thinking about when we die and what's going to happen and who's going to, and the people involved. We don't think like that. We're thinking just, boom, I got to take care of my loneliness. Now, I've only been through, I don't know, like I said, I got 3 moms, 3 dads. I do have half brothers. I do have half sisters. So I've gone through my experience with it all. And I just think that, I don't know if, Jacob is thinking as the dad, like, hey, what's the ramifications for all these kids from different women gonna be? I just don't think that's what's going through a lot of people's brain even today. And even though the ramifications of multiple marriages can be massive, it's very difficult for us human beings to think long term. We obviously are very prone to think more short term. How to deal with our emotions or what we want, our wishes, wants, and the desires right now. So, man, I see that just pop right off the page. I mean, Gen X, 17 years old, dysfunctional family, very, very interesting. A lot of half-brothers hanging around. And it says, but Joseph reported to his father these bad things that they have done. Oh, man, Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children, because Joseph had been born to him at an old age. So one day Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe, but his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them, and they couldn't say a kind word to him. Jealousy, favoritism, that goes on in a family. Have you ever experienced that? Where it seems like someone's more the favorite, someone gets this way and you get jealous, and there's this jealousy that's in you. And it says one night Joseph had a dream where he was told he told his brothers about it. So obviously Joseph wanted to kind of, talk to his brothers and share with his brothers things. And so he wants to share with them this dream he had. But they hated it, and they hated him more than ever. And it says, listen to the dream, he said. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed before mine. His brothers responded, so you think you will be our king, do you? Do you actually think you will reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dreams and the way they talked about them. And soon Joseph had another dream. And again, he told his brothers about it. Listen, I have another dream, he said. The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me. The time he told the dream to his father as well and to his brothers. But his father scolded him. What kind of dream is that, he asked. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you? So we get the idea that Jacob understood very clearly what the dream was concerning, what it was about. It was about Joseph's family, his brothers, his mom, his dad, all paying homage to Joseph. It says, but while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dreams meant. His dad kept pondering this. Soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to pasture their father's flocks at Shechem. And when they had been gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Get ready, and I will send them to you. Now, what kind of shepherds were these brothers anyway? It's a good question for me, right? What kind of shepherd am I? What kind of shepherd are you? How do you shepherd your family? Maybe you're a pastor at a church. How do you shepherd those people? Is it just, what do you do? Are you invested in their lives? How invested in your life? Are you not really? Is it more of a job for you? Is it more of just, hey, you come in and do your class and then go? What kind of shepherd are you? And it says, I'm ready to go, Joseph replied. So go and see how your brothers and the flocks are getting along. So Jacob sends Joseph to go see his brothers. And Jacob said, then come back and bring me a report. So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. And when he arrived there, a man from the area noticed him wandering around the countryside. What are you looking for? He asked. I'm looking for my brothers, Joseph replied. Do you know where they are pasturing their sheep? Yes, the man told him. They have moved on from here, but I heard them say, let's go down to Dothan. So Joseph followed his brothers to Dothan and found them there. Now, were these shepherds supposed to go to Dothan? Maybe not. Maybe they were supposed to stay in Shechem and just continue pasturing the flock there. But they wander on. And, again, it reminds me of just today. Am I a wanderer as a shepherd? Am I a person who's very focused and just consistent to, keep the sheep in the right spot? Or am I unpredictable? Do I take the sheep maybe where they're not supposed to go? It says, when Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance, and as he approached, they made plans to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns. We can tell our father a wild animal has eaten him. We'll see what becomes of his dreams. So these dreams were powerful dreams. I mean, they were dreams that were so vivid, so amazingly real, in Joseph's mind that, the family could not just push it aside. It wasn't just like, hey, I had a dream and blah, 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 and that's it. We all go our way. These dreams, even when they were explained by Joseph to the family understood them, and it kind of rattled their hearts. And obviously these brothers became jealous, envious. Now notice the dad, favored Joseph. He was from a particular woman. And that was the wife that he loved a ton, Rachel. And so you can see how, when we see this favoritism going on in a family, we could see that it breeds. It can very much be the beginning place of breeding a hatred towards the siblings, in the siblings' life, where they hate one another. This one's from this mom, this one's from that mom. They don't see it. The parents might not understand it because they're just dealing with their stuff. They're just looking at their little narrow thing. They're not seeing the ramifications of what they're doing. But it's certainly playing out now. And that's what we're doing in our life, is we're playing out these cards that were dealt. A lot of people are trying to deal with stuff, deal with what their mom did, deal with what their dad did, right? Deal with those issues, even in their life and into their adulthood. And then they make decisions, and then there's ramifications for that go on and on and on and on and on. Here we see, hate in the heart of these brothers towards Joseph. 17 years old. That's it. He's a teenager. And it says, but when Reuben heard of their scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. Let's not kill him, he said. Why should we shed any blood? That's interesting coming from Reuben. And it says, let's just throw him into an empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without our laying a hand on him. Hey, let's not kill him, but let's cause him to suffer. Let's throw him in a cistern and he'll just starve to death. And then Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and returning him to his father. So Reuben had a plan of, hey, let's throw him in. I could appease my brothers. That way my brothers, I don't get kind of on their bad side. But later on, I could go get Joseph. You could see how twisted the brothers are, how much jealousy and how much insecurity is in their life. Instead of Reuben just sticking up to his brothers, right? Just saying to his brothers, hey, you know what? This is wrong, or something like that. Being strong in the brother's eyes. Instead, he has to go along with them. And how many times in my life have I just gone along with people? And especially growing up in those teenage years, you just go along with people. And there's that insecurity in you. There's that fear in you. I don't want to be different. I don't want to be seen as a wimp. I don't want to this kind of thing. And it just develops and develops and develops. And you make bad decision after bad decision because you're making them on all this stuff that's in your heart. That's all off. right? It's all tilted. It's all bent. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off the beautiful robe he was wearing, and they grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. I mean, unbelievable, like mob mentality here. Now the cistern was empty, and there was no water in it. Then, just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming toward them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Here you see Ishmael's descendants coming through. And you know Hagar, right? His Ishmael's mom was from Egypt. They're doing trade down in Egypt. Hey, why not? It's kind of a hometown place. And they go down there, and an idea is concocted. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain by killing our brother? We'll have to cover up the crime. Instead of hurting him, let's sell him to those Ishmaelite traders. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." And his brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites, who were Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and sold them for 20 pieces of silver, and the traders took him to Egypt. Sometime later, Reuben returned to get Joseph out of the cistern, and when he discovered that Joseph was missing, he tore his clothes in grief. Then he went back to his brothers and lamented, "The boy is gone. What will I do now?" Then the brothers killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe in its blood. They sent the beautiful robe to their father with this message, "Look at what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son?" Oh man, just think how massively disappointed Reuben was when, he couldn't get Joseph out of that cistern, that his brothers concocted an idea, and obviously Reuben wasn't aware of it. Secrecy, right? When you have, a bunch of, brothers, sisters, and especially dysfunctional families, there's a lot of hiding. There's a lot of hiding of, hey, don't tell your brother this. Don't tell your sister this. Your mom might say, don't say this to this. Did you ever grow up like that where your parents were even telling you secrets? Hey, don't say this. Don't say this to your sister. Don't say this to oh my God, that's poison. When people say stuff like that, don't say this to that person. Don't say, hey, I'm going to tell you something, but don't say it to poison. I don't want to hear that. Maybe it's, maybe don't say anything, the manipulation can be thick in a family, meaning you might think you love, but you don't, you're just manipulating. And I think that's a lot of our hearts on the planet is we tend to think we're loving people, but really we're manipulating them. And it comes out pretty obviously because this is one of the ways it comes out so clearly is all this secretive stuff, right? Don't tell Reuben what we're doing. We don't want him to get upset, so shh, it's our thing. This kind of stuff. Oh, man. So then whatever they do say to Reuben is all a trick. It's all secrecy. It's all, again, manipulating Reuben to think one thing when it's not that at all. And, boy, you see a lot of human behavior here. And then you see that they go on, these brothers, so much where they put this dude's robe, Joseph's robe, and they kill a goat and they dip his blood. Now back then they didn't have the DNA testing that would have really helped out, right? Is this blood really Joseph's? And their father recognized it immediately, meaning the robe. Yes, it is my son's robe. A wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph has clearly been torn to pieces. Then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in burlap, meaning something that's very uncomfortable to bring sorrow. And he mourned deeply for his son for a long time. I mean, these kids, these young men are seeing their dad mourn in a mighty way, and they will not tell him the truth. His family all tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "I will go to my grave mourning my son," he would say, and then he would weep. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And Potiphar was captain of the palace guard. Okay, so he gets sold as a slave to one of the kind of cabinet of the Pharaoh of Egypt. And we'll see what happens with Potiphar here in the following chapters. But it's really a sad chapter, isn't it? I mean, dreams. What's in a dream, right? I mean, you just dream a dream. You share your dream. Hey, this is what I'm sharing with you guys, man. It's pretty wild, But what does it breed in these people? Jealousy, hatred, envy, man. Really? I want what Joseph has. I want to be the favorite, and so what we'll do is we'll kill him. And so we can become the best, right? We can become the favored with our dad. But their dad, after he finds out that Joseph has supposedly been killed, he doesn't pick another favorite. He just mourns. These young people, man, they're not getting what they thought they would get in this. They thought, oh yeah, we're gonna get the right relationship with our dad we've always wanted. We're going to get the right relationship, with our brothers we always wanted. Whatever they're thinking. They didn't get that. You never seem to get what you want, right? Even though that person you hate, that president you hate, that person in government that you hate, even though now he's no longer there, you think you really get what you want? You think you're going to be at peace? In your life, you finally get everything. You got that house now. You got this now. You got the car now. You got whatever you want. And you think now you're going to be at peace? No, you're always chasing. Never at peace. Always chasing. And that's what us humans are doing. Always chasing. We can't be content. Just content with our place. Content being okay. Am I okay alone? Am I okay just doing nothing? Or do I have to go? Do I have to be? Do I have to do and accomplish? And, what is it? What's driving me? Is it insecurity? Is it fear? Is it, is it envy? Is it strife? I want to be somebody. What is it that's moving me? And that's what's so beautiful about Jesus, right? Come to me, all who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Rest for your souls, man. Oh, boy. That's the beauty of coming to Jesus. Salvation is not contingent upon you. It's not about your work and your labor and you earning your way to the Father, earning your way to be right in a right relationship with the Father. No, you can just be. He loves you. He's forgiven you. He cleanses you. Not based on your great works or any works, but simply because of his great love towards you. Very cool. It's too bad our families are not like that. That love is always conditional. It's always about what you can do and what you can bring. And I'd love you more, son, if you didn't look like this. I'd love you more, daughter, if you didn't look like that. Do you see the problem? Yeah. We have many issues, and Genesis 37 certainly brings them up in us. So, boy, what a good read for us this morning. And really seeking God on those things that are deep within us that move us to cause a lot of pain in people's lives because we desire, and we just won't say no. Well, a lot of times we just won't stop. Wow. Okay, so you guys think through Genesis 37, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.